working towards a world where our kids can walk to school again and feel safe.
Yeah.
Because that's not a thing anymore.
No, it's really not. And that's the really scary part.
Though, the pedophile thing that's going on right now where everyone's, like, pissed about pedophilia.
Oh, yeah. We finally got...
I kind of like that.
We did. And it is a really nice thing, too, that we've got that trending, that child trafficking is now trending on Twitter and on Facebook and on all these other things. You finally have people actually talking about that kind of stuff. And it's so nice because you have people like, there's another Yako that you'd probably like, or no, it's, Yako. He's on the Blaze all the time. And he's really big into human trafficking. But yeah, I really do like that all that kind of stuff's trending because before, I mean, that was something, it's like it took Epstein to get all that stuff out in front and page, and it just sucks because now it's like it's kind of nice that you can actually get people kind of off the Black Lives Matter and everything else and get them paying attention to child trafficking. But it's what's really messed up about all of this is you have people even trying to make that political. Because you have all that stuff trending, and now they're like, well, hey, remember, if you're talking about human trafficking, don't forget all the kids in the cages. Okay. Yeah, all the kids in the cages down at the border. You remember all that bullshit?
Oh, God.
Yeah, so it brought that up, and it's like, Jesus Christ, guys.
This is like, about kids. We don't give a fuck about that right now. We need to take things one at a time. We should, yes, I agree, we should tackle straight up human trafficking. We need to get some, I hate to say it, but get the police on that shit.
Yeah.
Get some. I don't know if there's I imagine there's a task force maybe, but let's get shit fucking rolling. Let's stop this shit. This is America. We're not. I don't like the idea of in America, the land of the free, people being enslaved.
Right.
Not okay with that.
Right. Human trafficking is such a fucking issue.
I would very much so like to have a few minutes with those guys, and but that's not the point here. The point is, next let's fix. I hate to say it, but this. Let's start fixing rape a little bit. Like, let's start getting some... Because, I don't know who I should... Because I don't want to bring anyone personal into this. But I've had many people in my personal life... I've had the conversation about rape. Okay, I understand it's really hard to go and deal with it. But there was a well-defined point made to me that there's not much they can do about it as of right now. And yes, I have to agree to a certain extent with that.
You mean as far as like rape culture and doing something about that?
No, we need systems in place for whenever a man or woman gets sexually molested of any way, shape, or form. We need process.
Assaulted.
We need process for this. We need well-defined routes for people to go. Like, okay, call the police or go to the hospital.
Which is what they do now.
Yes, but it's not known to people. That's the problem. Women don't... Okay, I've talked to enough women who are borderline liberal or conservative. They don't know about the options out there for being able to go to the hospital and get swabbed and DNA tests taken. That is not known to most people.
So you're thinking,
the only reason I know it is because I've looked into it because I wanted to know.
It's not that you're saying that there's something necessarily wrong with the system we've got. There just needs to be more information put out about the system that's currently going because a lot of people don't know about it.
I want a daughter someday. I want her to be educated on how to handle this situation. For one, I want her to kill him first.
Oh, yeah.
Right off the bat, if you get raped, let's just end that dude.
Right.
Yeah,
which is another good reason to always have a gun on you anyway. Less likely to
get
raped.
Guns and jujitsu. Come on.
Yeah, there you go.
Come on, girls. Let's go. Fucking... Right. I like guns in pink.
Guns in pink.
So, no, but my thing is there's not enough education for the little girls because what do you have on the way?
Oh, I've got a girl. I've got 2 daughters.
2 daughters. That I want them educated.
Right.
They need to know going into it. If something happens, the worst case scenario, they need to be prepared. We need to prepare our daughters for the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Bottom to top, yes, they need to be carrying a gun, but sometimes I hate to say it, but there's guys that are trained as well.
Yeah, that's true.
You can be disarmed.
Well, that's true.
And
so sometimes what you're saying is you can't always prevent everything bad from happening.
No, you can't. That is completely impossible.
All right.
If it's not impossible, it's definitely improbable.
Right.
So, the fact of the matter is we're just not educating our people in the right things to do from the beginning. I hate to say it, but there should be a class in school. What happens?
As far as like the report, maybe add that into like sex ed, rape reporting and stuff like that.
I don't like the idea of sex ed in the first place, but because it's done badly in I hate all the concepts of like you educating my child on like sexuality.
Yeah,
that irritates me. I just
I'm talking about old school sex ed. I'm not talking about like I'm not talking about like modern California liberal sex ed.
Oh, that irritates me.
Yeah,
that's a whole topic that we can talk about in a minute.
But
no, like
just adding something more to the sex, I guess. Okay, so the military's got a really good reporting system. So the military's got it to where there's basically like two primary different types of reporting. There's unreportable and there's reportable. And what unreportable means is that you can still go and you can get psychiatric counseling and you can go talk to like your priest or your pastor, and then you can go to the med clinic and you can still get medical treatment. They just won't report it to your commander or anybody like that. It doesn't go any farther.
It's a sealed file.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a
kept
sealed
within. Yeah, I was actually just educated.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you probably will, and you're going to see a lot of stuff for it.
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of posters and stuff like that in the military for it. And I think a system like that, could be easily adapted to the civilian world, and I don't think it would be a problem. I think giving women an option that doesn't have to lead to a courtroom, I think is a very, very good option. And I think if anything, it would, knowing that they have an option that doesn't necessarily have to start out, isn't going to end up in a courtroom, doesn't have to end up in a courtroom unless they want to. If they know they can go into a system and get help and they can get counseling and they can get medical attention without it having to be reported to the cops, or even if it's reported to the cops, if it's one of those situations where it's a different section to where it's like it's set up in the military to where you can you can talk to this particular person. You don't necessarily have to talk to the cops. You can talk to a counselor, kind of like the social services thing that some people were talking about with the whole defund the police crowd. A social service system. So something like that in the situation of rape and sexual assault, I think a system like that mirrors what the military has would work out a lot better, because even then it's still going to end up leading to more convictions, because if you end up in that system, it's going to get more women are going to be willing to report their rapes if they're going into a system knowing that that it doesn't have to end up in court. Now, at any point through that system, you can opt in to report it to the police, right? Which has to be an option. And giving that option, then I think you're going to have a lot more people that will end up reporting it to the police, because they're not having to initially talk to a police officer.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or they're not, because the first thing that happens if you go and report a rape at the hospital, what's the first thing that they're going to do? They call the cops.
Yeah.
Right? And not everybody wants the cops involved, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, so it's one of those things. It would be much better if you had a rape reporting system in the United States that went two ways: reportable to the police, or non-reportable, where you just get the counseling you want and that kind of stuff. Something that can be offered through social services. Something that can be offered every hospital in the country, every ER, wherever it is, could have a certain section of their mental health services just dedicated to the option of, taking care of rapes that don't want to get reported to the prison system, that doesn't want to get reported to the police system.
Yes, I thoroughly agree. Just because it's a disgusting crime.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so bad, but it's real, and we need to take care of it. We need to take care of our people. And it's, I hate to say it, but it's not just women. It's really demoralizing for a guy to be raped too. And that's on almost a whole different level. Just because I hate to say it, but most men are raised to be men, so we're, being demoralized on that level is extremely traumatizing. And we have, I hate to say it, maybe some sort of almost free counseling for something like that.
Well, and that's kind of what I was talking about with, the social services system, is doing something like that. Doing something to where you've got an alternative to just going to the cops.
Yeah, my thing also with this is, why isn't my taxes going to something like that?
See, and that's something I think everybody would be able to. I think that's something Bob and us and pretty much everybody could agree on to add. And the other thing is okay, so everybody's having issues with the cops. Make it a subsection of the police. Now you've got more funding for cops too.
Yeah,
That's how you could sell it to the conservatives.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just. I like that where the U.S.'s head's at right now, in that.
Oh, and the child trafficking.
Everyone's getting united behind common goals. These aren't goals that any right-minded person's really against.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but if you're against going after child trafficking, yeah, I don't know if I want you around.
All right.
I really don't know if that's the type of person I want anywhere near my life. But, you know, it's just one of those things that it has a whole... People are still finding a way to bastardize it.
Yeah.
And in that, like, kind
of like what I was talking about. My
wife got a post recently on her Facebook feed about this guy who brought up that y'all are worried about child trafficking in the U.S., but in X country they're marrying off girls the second they hit puberty.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's not my country.
Well,
and I don't know the social norms. I don't... People don't get that. I don't know that situation.
Right. Don't know that country. You don't know that place.
You know, and I don't want it happening here. If that was here, I'm not cool with it.
Right.
I'm sorry. Because, yes, they are legally allowed to have sex with that girl the second she hits puberty, which I'm not okay with, because you can marry a 12-year-old girl off to a 60-year-old man.
Depending on the state and stuff like that.
Yes, but it's this is a different country, and this was the...
Oh, this was a different country.
Yes, this is the thing that was brought up. And I was like, okay, because this was commented on one of her posts about that. And I was like, okay, that's kind of gross that he would bring that up in the situation, for one. Just because we're talking about a problem here, and he's talking about a problem in a place that I have no control over.
Right.
My word means nothing in that country.
Right.
As much as, yes, I am a man, and that sounds like a...
But you can't vote over there.
Yeah, I can't, you know, try to start an uprising against that. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
There's white boys coming over here and trying to...
Well,
you know,
and this is something that gets brought up quite a lot, that a lot of people, that no one wants to talk. Well, it doesn't get brought up quite a lot. It needs to get brought up more. This is something people don't talk about. The United States is literally one of the biggest, if not the biggest, market for child sex trafficking and underage porn and all that other kind of shit. If we would tackle it here in the United States, a lot of things would change across the rest of the world, because you might not be able to film and do that kind of stuff in the U.S., but they can get away with filming it and doing that other stuff in the U.S. or in other countries other than the U.S., and then the United States is the ones that consume it. So if we could stop the consumption issue here in the United States, that would, in effect, turn around and stop a lot of that shit that's happening in the other countries, because if we in the U.S. aren't customers for it, they're not going to be making it.
Well, and also, the thing that's not talked about is the U.S. is the global... We're on the global stage. We're one of the big baddies that everyone looks to.
Yeah.
And we're making...
We're the shining hill on the sea.
Yeah, and we're making fools of ourselves right now.
Shining city on the hill. That's what it is. Shining city on the hill.
You know, and I hate to say it, but whenever we start something, there's moms that are outraged about that somewhere else. There's dads that are pissed about their daughter being stolen from them. You know, people will look and say, okay, we can't deal with that here. This is my home. I'm not going to take this.
Right.
You know, we weren't the only people to take on the war on terror.
Yeah.
We weren't the only people to have a revolution. We weren't the only people that... Things follow us for a reason. We need to be the example, not... It all goes back to just not being separated anymore. It's not good for us. It's bad. It's
coming together more united.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't have to all come together on everything. Like gun control, it's a hot topic, and a lot of people disagree on it. Maybe we should take a step back from that, just completely. Everyone, just be like, okay, let's pause here. Let's work on mental health. See how that does. Because maybe we have a problem with mental health, not gun control. Maybe we have a problem with education, not gun control. Maybe we have a problem. Let's stop tackling the problem directly, and let's start fanning back and seeing. Let's backpedal and get the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. Because everyone talks about the shootings at the theaters, the mass shootings in the schools, and it's like, yeah, that's terrible. No one wants that.
Right.
But guess what? It takes a very deranged person to kill children.
So you're saying let's more concentrate on the mental health issues in the United States.
Let's work on what can possibly be causing all these issues. It's not just gun control; it's everything.
Right.
With
well, I mean, with the rape culture a lot. I mean, if we'd
because that's not a normal person doesn't rape people.
Yeah. So if we had a better mental health care system in the United States that actually took care of situations like that, you'd have less people acting out.
Yeah, and maybe people need to talk about sexuality with their kids too more. That conversation maybe needs to be had a little more, because maybe the kid needs, he's showing some sketchy things, because I have heard personally, and I'm not gonna, like I said, not gonna bring up names, of some kids that were showing some scarier signs as they were growing up. Okay, well let's take a step back and let's take them to a counselor. Let's have a professional look at the situation as well, and talk to the professional and see if we can maybe having a conversation about the kid about sexuality and the ins and outs of it, and maybe what it means to be a man or a woman and so on, like the transgender thing. Let's have conversations with our kids. We're all these problems really can be stemmed from we neglected children.
Well, I think a lot of it, when it comes to like the mental health stuff, I think a lot of our problems in society root from the lack of it being acceptable in the United States to talk about your mental health issues. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big issue, because if more people would be willing to talk to them, and it's one of those things. I would say I'm borderline on the thing that everybody should have a psychologist, or a psychiatrist, or a counselor, or somebody that they can go and talk to at a moment's notice. And I think one of the really cool things is there's systems online now where you can do it really, really, really inexpensively, and sometimes even free. And it's one of those things, you essentially have a counselor on demand, and you don't have to worry about you just don't have to worry about it being so. You don't have to worry about finding somebody or going somewhere. It's an app on your smartphone. But the thing about it is getting it to where people aren't as touchy about it, to where it's okay to be crazy. Well, you know what I mean? Because there's such a bad rap when it comes to having a mental health issue and going and seeking counseling. It's like you're weak, or you're a pussy, or you're a bitch, or something like that if you have to go see a counselor. And it shouldn't be like that at all. It needs to be more acceptable, because now you have people that, instead of going to somebody and talking about these nasty feelings that they have inside of them, instead of talking about these anger and these dark thoughts that they have inside of their head, instead of going out there and talking about those kind of things, those kind of ideas fester inside of their brain and then just get worse and worse and worse, and then they end up lashing out, whether that be rape or child molestation or shooting up a school or any of that other kind of stuff. If they don't have someone to talk to, if they don't have a way to express that and get out and talk about those kind of things, then it's going to end up festering, and then you're going to end up having something bad happen.
Yeah, because I genuinely think that we could have caught a lot of these people early, and somebody could have been, because we've all had dark thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't think there's...
The sooner you accept the fact that you could be a Nazi prison guard and gas people in the chamber, the better your life will be.
Yeah. The sooner you realize that you're human and you can be evil. Evil is... I mean, I hate to say it, but how do you think we survived?
Yeah.
How do you think...
Sometimes you have to be cruel.
Yeah. I mean, not everyone was Jesus.
Not by a long shot.
Yeah. And people are doing these extremes where they're either anything from just overreacting to overdiagnosing, because I hate to say it, but a lot of people are calling themselves depressed.
Self-diagnosing.
Yeah, self-diagnosing themselves as depressed. But guess what? You're eating nothing but fast food. You are, we need to really start instilling these good values.
Right.
And I hate to say it, but food's important.
Your diet is very important.
Yeah. Try eating only Popeye's chicken sandwiches for a few weeks. Guess you're not going to feel too happy.
I'll tell you what, I felt a whole hell of a lot better since I cut carbs out and all I eat is meat.
Yeah, I have to eat carbs personally, but I try to clean my diet. It's hard, but it's worth it. Obviously, every once in a while I have a nice greasy breakfast with my bacon and my eggs cooked in the bacon, and then my toast that I put my eggs on so I can pop the yolks. Oh,
yeah.
That was this morning.
It sounds
Dude, it was a nasty day for me.
That's awesome.
I killed all of my daily calories within, before I got here. Right?
No shit.
When I ate that Popeye sandwich, done.
That's
I
funny.
have 50 calories left to spare, so I'm going to keep for a snack later tonight before bed.
Yeah, something like that where you're not going to bed with a growling stomach.
Oh, yeah, dude. But no, I mean... people are not instilling, and it's all boils down. Every problem in the U.S. right now
boils down to mental health.
No, I think it boils down to not raising our kids to be good people.
Oh yeah,
because we need open-minded people, yes, but we also need firm firm, solid people that will not take shit.
Yeah.
Because what happened to
People
people
with a
not
backbone.
taking shit?
Yeah.
Because I hate to say it, there's no way in hell I'm not teaching my daughter to fucking fight. There's also no way in hell that I'm not teaching her how to love.
Yeah. Very true.
I mean, she needs to know that you have to ask for help.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because I had to learn that by myself, and it sucked.
Oh, yeah. It's fucking
Because
rough.
learning to ask for help sucks. It's
Yeah.
not an easy thing, but if it's instilled in you early on,
Yeah.
you know when to ask for help, not to go begging,
Right.
but to go to people that care about you and be like, hey, I'm in a bad place, I need to talk. That's a lot of times enough.
Yeah.
Learn to surround yourself with good people. Learn to surround yourself with good habits. You know, it's hard, but we're at a place where we're down spiraling because we're not willing to put in the effort in
Right.
any way, shape, or form. With our kids, with our economy, with our anything.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but it all boils down to kids.
Yeah.
We need to make sure they have a future.
It really does.
Because the loan thing, I think it would be great.
Yeah.
Because, you know, your kiddos, whenever I have kids, I would like them to have an opportunity outside of school. Like, maybe you want to open up your business.
Yeah.
I'll back you.
Right.
But I hate to say it, but I can only back people so far. I
Right.
don't intend to be making $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year. That's not possible for me. I'm just not.
You don't want to put that much effort into it.
Well, it's not.
It's a lot of work.
What I want will not pay that much.
Oh.
The things I want in life, they don't pay that much, but I want to be fulfilled. And I want to... One of the big values is I don't want them to think that they have to have a really nice job to be happy. If you have something you're passionate about, fight for it. Make it work. If you can't go in as what you want, maybe find something else in that field that might fulfill you as well. Like,
Yeah.
be around it. You know, there's different things.